Welcome to The Explainer. So let's just dive right in, because today we are unpacking a radically different timeline for literally one of the most famous television finales of all time. We're looking at a fascinating alternate reality for the ending of Friends. We're going to break down the source material to see how just one completely different decision could have fundamentally reshaped the entire legacy of this iconic show.
Right, so we all know the iconic canon ending. Ross rushes to the airport, there's that super dramatic voicemail, and then boom, Rachel appears in the doorway saying, "I got off the plane." I mean, it is etched into pop culture history. But let's pull the rug out for a second and ask a massive what if. What if that famous airport scene went entirely differently? What if Rachel's romantic future was actually heading in a completely different direction?
Specifically, what if Joey chose Rachel and she chose him back? Now hold on, I know exactly what you might be thinking. It sounds kind of impossible, right? The show spent 10 entire seasons meticulously building up the whole Ross and Rachel dynamic. They were the couple everyone just expected to end up together. But if you look really closely at the narrative structure of those later seasons, there is this very brief, distinct moment in the series that makes this alternate path genuinely, almost shockingly plausible.
Which brings us to Section 1, Joey's unexpected evolution.
To really understand why this alternate path could actually work, we've got to revisit one of the most surprising storylines in the show's entire run. Tracking his growth, we see that back in season 1, Joey is the ultimate serial bachelor. Serious relationships, totally not his thing. But jump forward to season 8, and Joey does something literally nobody saw coming. He falls in love with Rachel. And look at his actual actions. He steps up in a massive way during her pregnancy. He helps take care of Emma. And by the season 8 finale, he makes this completely selfless confession. This wasn't some sudden flip. It was a slow, incredibly steady maturation. And the absolute crucial point here is that for perhaps the first time in the whole series, Joey loved someone without expecting anything in return. He put Rachel's happiness completely ahead of his own. When he finally confessed his love, he wasn't trying to win her over or play some game. He just couldn't keep the truth hidden anymore. This genuine vulnerability showed us a side of Joey we rarely ever saw, proving his feelings weren't just another sitcom punchline.
Moving on to Section 2, the alternate choice.
So let's fast forward to the final season. Rachel gets her absolute dream job offer in Paris. Everything seems to be hurtling toward that exact same emotional airport goodbye. Except, in this reality, Joey doesn't step aside. When Rachel prepares to leave New York, Joey faces the biggest choice of his life. And instead of some dramatic, over-the-top speech, Joey just offers pure honesty. He tells her that being with her made him a better person. He actually admits that helping raise Emma showed him a future he never even knew he wanted. And most importantly, for once in his life, he's willing to really fight for something real. He essentially presents Rachel with a massive dilemma right before she boards that plane. This takes us into Section 3, history versus possibility. This deeply honest confession perfectly frames a clash of ideals between her two suitors. When we look at them side by side, the contrast is kind of stark. Ross symbolizes history. He's deeply connected to years of memories, for sure, but also a lot of heartbreak and unfinished business. His flaws? Well, they often include being pretty jealous and overly possessive. Joey, on the other hand, represents possibility. He offers a fresh start and just immense stability. Where Ross overanalyzes, Joey provides unconditional support. When Rachel succeeded, Joey celebrated her. When she struggled, he was her rock. So, in this alternate timeline, Rachel chooses Joey. And here is exactly why this matters so much. She doesn't choose him out of a lack of love for Ross. Not at all. She chooses Joey because she realizes love isn't only about past history. It's about who empowers you right now, in the present. She ultimately chooses the partner who helps her become her absolute best self. Let's look at Section 4, the ripple effect. Making this single, monumental choice fundamentally alters the future of the show. We're going to break down the incredibly positive ripple effects this alternate reality has on Ross, Joey, and Rachel, because it sets off a chain reaction of character development that, you could argue, completes their individual arcs in a much healthier way. Let's look at step 1, starting with Ross. Ross is obviously pretty devastated at first. I mean, for years, he believed Rachel was his absolute ultimate destiny. But losing her in this timeline, it actually forces him to confront a really difficult truth. His life just cannot revolve around chasing a relationship that never fully worked. Ultimately, He finds his greatest personal growth by focusing on his blooming career and his really strong relationship with his daughter, Emma. He finally stops measuring his happiness by whether or not Rachel is standing right beside him. Meanwhile, just look at Joey's transformation. The guy we first met back in season 1 would have never imagined this. But Joey completes this amazing 10 years slow burn of maturity. By stepping up for Rachel and Emma, he finally discovers and completely embraces the family life he spent years pretending to avoid. He goes from the lovable, kind of aloof bachelor to a truly devoted partner and father figure. And what about Rachel? For so much of the series, her entire story is about fighting for her independence. Being with Joey doesn't erase that growth. Honestly, it actually strengthens it. Joey never expected Rachel to be anyone other than exactly who she is. He never tried to control her choices. His unconditional support allows Rachel absolute freedom. The freedom to pursue both the love she deserves and the ambition she worked so incredibly hard for without ever having to compromise on either. Which brings us to section 5. The debate continues. Because as seamless as this alternate ending might sound, it definitely stirs up some pretty passionate opinions. Purists are always going to defend the canon ending, pointing out that their final reunion is one of television's most iconic moments. And hey, that's entirely fair, but the writers undeniably planted the seeds for this alternate reality. And because they tested the waters with this idea, it leaves us with so many lingering what-ifs. Would Joey and Rachel have actually lasted long-term? Would Ross have found a new, maybe healthier love? And would the famous dynamic of the core 6 friends have even survived such a massive romantic shift? We'll never know for sure, but sometimes the ending that almost happened is the most fascinating one to explore. This whole explainer leaves us with a ton to think about when it comes to relationship dynamics and character growth. So I want to turn this over to you. If Rachel had to choose in real life, based strictly on who empowers her, supports her, and actually helps her grow, who do you think makes the better partner, Ross or Joey? Take a look at the facts we've laid out, think about what truly makes a relationship thrive, and let us know your thoughts. Because as we've seen today, this debate is far from settled.